Hey guys, it's Ali Green here from your Westfield W-League team. I have been asked to answer some questions that a few of our fans and members have sent in today, and really happy to be here and answering them for you. So I hope we're all really excited about all the success we've had in the last week or two with the Women's World Cup bid, and it's all really exciting times for women's football and football in general in Australia for the next 5-10 years. So yes, on the back of that, I'll be answering your questions. So the first one is from Caleb Bilson. How has the World Cup announcement impacted you? I think from my age group's point of view, I think that obviously the World Cup is a really positive thing for us, and women in sport, women in football, it's really going to benefit us a lot. And I think being 21 and at that peak age in 3 years, that's going to really be a big goal for all of us, and myself included, to hopefully pursue that and do the best you can to make that World Cup team and play as you hope. And I think that's a really positive and exciting bit of news that's come in the last couple of weeks. And congrats to everyone who was doing the part of the bid. And yeah, it was really a success for Australian sport in general. The next question is from Kiara Pendergast. Who is your biggest inspiration growing up? It's a tough one. I've always it's been a bit funny because I never really looked up to soccer players. I was kind of more a general sports girl and played all sorts of sports growing up. So I think my biggest inspiration would probably be, Sally Fitzgibbons or something like that, they've achieved so much in women's sport and Australian sport. So definitely someone like that, yeah. The next question is from Gersha and Halwal. Would you prefer the Premier League or the A-League? As I said, I kind of never grew up, supporting or watching much of the Premier League, so I don't actually really have a team that I support either. But I think I've got a lot more connection with the A-League, and that's probably where I've grown up more and supporting the boys at Sydney FC as well. So I think probably the A-League, yeah. The next question is from Nino. My dream is to become a pro footballer. What advice would you give me? Well, whether you're a young boy or girl coming through playing football, I think it's such a great sport to be a part of. I think Australia have, we're so gifted in all the sports we do, but football is, the biggest club-based participation sport in Australia. So, the opportunities come with that, and definitely girls or boys coming through, never a better time to really join and play football now. So, yes, that would be my advice, is to keep going and just do your best and see where it takes you, because there's so many opportunities now. So it's really fantastic time to be a part of it. Next one's from Georgia Hayek. When did you start at Sydney FC and how did you get started? I started at Sydney FC 3 years ago. So I've played 3 seasons with Sydney, and the opportunity kind of came about with I think the coach at the time was Daniel Barrett, and he was looking out for young ones to come train on and join the environment at Sydney FC. And along with that came, the experience of a couple of years of training on with the team. And from that, Ante came in, and he was keen to sign me. So that's how that started. But yeah, I've been at Sydney 3 seasons now, so looking for more, obviously. So the next question from Kayla again. What's your favourite pre-workout snack? It's a good question. Probably have to say just the classic avocado toast and eggs. Love my avocado toast, as a lot of people do. Yeah, that's a good sized portioned meal, I feel, before a game or a workout. Georgia Foster, when did you find a passion for soccer? I've played soccer since I was about 6 years old. I've played with, mixed boys teams and girls, just boys teams, just girls teams. I've done it all really. So the passion kind of came just, through playing different teams, meeting different people, being given different opportunities, and from a young age, that was kind of what I wanted to pursue as a sport. As I said, I grew up playing lots of different sports, so soccer's the one that kind of stuck with me, and that's what I went for. Kayla, do you like to cook? It's hard being an athlete. I think my mum would agree. She's always been the one that's cooked for me, and dad as well. So I think I've been pretty lucky, but cooking is not my forte, and I'll admit that. But that is due because I've always blamed it on training late at night. So I've never really had time to learn, but it is something that I have committed to doing, and I will learn eventually one day. Alice Lucas. Hi Ali, how will our successful World Cup bid help further the growth of the W-League? It's a really good question, Alex. I think, with all the excitement around the World Cup, it will definitely be a really positive next 5 years minimum. So I think definitely it will, impact all levels of, from the national team, W-League, and all the way down to the grassroots as well. So, there'll be more funding for all the teams, all the levels, all the clubs, more support, backing by the government, backing by other sports as well. So I think the W-League can only, benefit from it as well. So, whether that's, higher quality players coming in, boosting our league, with what the future holds for W-League, whether it's a home and away season or how it progresses in the next couple of years. But definitely couldn't have been at a better time that announcement came for us, because that's really going to help us and grow our game in the W-League as well. Another one from Kayla. What's your favourite protein ball? I love my protein balls. I think it would be probably a peanut butter one. They're really nice. And she also said, will you be playing for Australia or New Zealand? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I've grown up playing my my youth years with the Australian team, and that would be the goal, to always play for the Matildas. But there is an opportunity to play for New Zealand as well if I do look into that. But for now, the goal has always been to play for Matildas. So from Mohammed, when will you guys resume? So at the moment, I'm playing in the NPL, and we're about to resume in about 3 weeks, I think, so the 19th of July. And the W-League will hopefully be resuming, in a similar time as to what it was last year, so around the November-March window. So we'll be, hopping off the NPL and straight back into pre-season probably. So it will be exciting time at the end of the year with the summer as well. So hopefully that's when we'll get back on the pitch and see you guys out there. One from Tuna. What's your favourite chicken shop? Just for you, Tuna, I'm going to say it's El Jana's out in the inner west. It's way too far away from me, but that's where it is. So a couple questions from our members as well that have been sent in. So Duncan Welsh, who's from Freshwater. Hello, Duncan. I grew up in Freshwater. Do you have any aspirations to play overseas? Yes, that was kind of the goal this year, but unfortunately COVID kind of took over that, which was a shame. But of course, I wasn't the only player that was impacted by that. So as disappointing as it was at the time, it's obviously very explained by the current situation. So, but definitely next year we'll be looking overseas and hopefully get over there and kickstart that journey as well. So that's definitely my next step. From Cameron Lanes, a lot of W-League players aren't full-time. Do you have a job outside of football? I kind of shift between different jobs. I study interior design and kind of had certain jobs in that as well. So at the moment I'm in an interior design shop. So That's my second job whilst playing NPL and waiting for that to kick off again. So I think it's always good to have that balance, and especially if I'm working in what I'm studying as well. So that's always been important for me to, have that extra side passion as well. So from Mel Fitzgerald, who's got the worst banter in the team? Oh gosh, I think there's a few funny characters in our team, and I think they all kind of just bounce off each other with their terrible banter. So, shout out to Natty and Macca Hawkesby and Prinny. I think that little group of them have some pretty terrible jokes, but hey, they're funny. From Joe from Harbord, another Harbordian. What's your favourite food of choice to go out for and why? Ooh, I kind of like a variety of food, but I think probably either like Japanese or Mexican. I love Mexican, so probably that. Savannah Leeson, who do you miss the most out of the girls when you're not playing? Oh, that's a good question. I probably miss the internationals the most because we become really close every year, and also the couple of Matildas because they always depart overseas. Not so much this season, but normally they kind of go off overseas, so you don't really have the chance to catch up with them as much as you do with the domestic players, and you also play against them as well in the NPL. So yeah, I always miss my Matildas that go away. Who we got? We've got Geraldine Scott from Alexandria. Who do you play for during the winter months when the W-League isn't on? I play at Manly, so I've been at Manly since I was very young, maybe under 9. So yeah, I've always been there. That's my local NPL team, and yeah, hopefully next season I'll be going elsewhere during this winter. So, but that's it for now. Danielle Barson from Paddington. What's your favourite position? Actually, always grew up playing winger, and a couple times in various teams I was pushed to the back as well. So I've that's my position now is more a fullback. So I've taken that under my wing and tried to improve on that over the years. We've got Alex. Will you be playing for Sydney FC next season? That is definitely the goal. I think there's a few talks in negotiations at the moment, and then yeah, but that's definitely the step for the next season as well. So yes, that's what I'll be aiming for. Alistair Green from Padstow. Who is your favourite player in the world and why? I mean, I'm going to hop on board and probably say Mbappe, because he's just a freak, and he's really quick and he's a great attacker, and yeah, so probably Mbappe. We've got one from Sarah Fisher. Who is the toughest opponent you have played against? Oh, probably Sam Kerr. We played her in the grand final 2 seasons ago when we won. We did win, but she was absolutely unbelievable, and I was marking her for majority of the game, so that was fun. But luckily I had some reassurance behind me with Aubrey in goals and Alana and Liz next to me, so I was fine. But yes, definitely Sam Kerr, as you can imagine. And she also added, Sarah, what has been the most favourite game of your career? Probably the grand final as well. 2 seasons ago when we won. That was such a career highlight for me, and never did I imagine I would be playing in a game like that. So definitely the excitement around that game has to be still the highlighted game of my career so far. So yeah. So that's all the questions that have been sent in. We've got a few live questions as well. We've got one from Shane, who is a top fan, it looks like. Hi Ali, which Shane from Membership is your favourite? Funny that. Obviously, both Shanes are quite characteristic of themselves, but obviously because you asked, I'll say you, Shane of Dar. Of course. Jimmy, nice comment about the Australian hosting the World Cup in 2023. Yes, I'm very excited as well. We've got Jaden, see you next season. That's the plan. Jack McKenna, you're my favourite player. Thanks, Jack. Kevin said, would you like to see a women's AFC Champions League, and which AFC nation would you like to play in? I think they tried a AFC Champions League last season. I think Melbourne Victory were a part of that because they were premiers. So it is a current thing. I think they've done with the women's side as well, which is always positive because that's a great opportunity for us to get over to the Asian countries and play against their top leagues and teams as well. So I think that is something that will progress in further years to come. So, but otherwise, probably Japan. I would play in a nation in the AFC because they've got such a high quality caliber over there themselves of domestic players, and that would only improve any one of us if we were to go over there as well. So, and Alex said thanks for your answer. No worries, Alex. Hope you've been well. Pete hopped on board the questions and has asked, what was your favourite moment from the 1920 season? I think, sounds pretty crazy, but even though we lost the grand final, I think just to play that game right before COVID really took over the world was, well, it pretty much had already. So I think playing that game was, even though we lost, was pretty special. It's something you didn't really think you would experience because of the circumstances, having no crowd in such a big stadium. It's not really a great moment, but it was kind of special in its own ways, just because we were able to still play that game, which was crazy now looking back on it. So probably that. We've got one from Jess. Hi Ali, who is your favourite Jess in corporate? It would have to be you, Jess. Just a background for everyone, I used to work at Sydney, so this is why all of these people are jumping on board and asking these questions. We've got another one from Alessandro Martino. What is your favourite chicken shop? I've already answered this. We know this. El Jana's. And we've got Ross. Hello, Ross. How are we? He's the best ball kid supervisor out there. And yeah, so I think that's about all the questions we have time for today. But thank you for sending them in, fans and members, and I'll be excited to see you all out back on the field hopefully at the end of the season. So yeah, anyway, thanks guys. See ya.